All right. Okay, perfect. So welcome. I'm gonna say local just because I know you and I'm on LinkedIn. So I'll say our local LinkedIn expert. And I know for myself, I don't know how everyone else is. I only got on LinkedIn, my goodness, a month or two ago. So I've learned a lot in that time, but I'm sure there's still a ton to learn. And it's like every time I learn something, it's like outdated in 2 weeks anyway. So I'm super curious to hear your take on everything and all the things you know. And yeah, so I guess give us a bit about you and your background and how you came into the LinkedIn world.
Yeah, my name is, so thank you so much for having me, first of all, and introducing me. Yeah, my name is Jade. I'm known as the Intuitive LinkedIn Strategist. I actually started out as a VA, virtual assistant, built my agency. And then during that time, I was noticing that so many coaching programs for marketing really suck. Like they don't leave people with real results. So my clients were coming to me and I was like, hey, I think we need to shift this. This isn't quite working. And so I was bringing in my own intuition and marketing skills. So I slowly moved into marketing and chose LinkedIn as my favorite platform. So now I'm there. I run my own 6-figure business. I help other people do the same using LinkedIn as their main platform. And yeah, that's me.
So I guess why did you choose LinkedIn? Oh, I only asked because right now it seems like everything is Instagram. Instagram, it's like the march. Right? Instagram.
I'm a big believer in going where the joy is. So I'm not going to give you the most strategic answer that a lot of professional marketers would. I really believe you have to follow what brings you joy. Your people are on every platform. Like they're there. There's enough people on them all that you will find them. So you have to do what brings you happiness. I'm also a believer in minimalism when it comes to marketing. We weren't designed as human beings to be online 24/7. So to try and be on all the platforms, we're doing a really crappy job instead of just finding one and doing really good. So I learned TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I really dove into all of them. I went where the joy is for me. I don't love creating a ton of video content. Like I don't mind it. It is today's day and age. We do have to have some video, but I mean, to be successful and really grow on Instagram these days, like I hired a video producer last year and they were honest that it's like 3+ videos a day.
Holy.
So that doesn't bring me joy. Creating video content, multiple times a day just doesn't bring me joy. The Facebook algorithm doesn't bring me joy. Twitter, like just I don't know, the drama on Twitter wasn't for me. So I just went where I wanted to go. I like the writing. I have found an incredible community of people on LinkedIn. So it makes me happy. And now I do really good at the one platform. Yes. I don't worry about the rest. Yeah.
I really, really love that answer because that's it. If you're trying to force something, if you're trying to use a platform that doesn't connect with you, and yeah, making all these reels and it causes you stress and you hate it, that is going to reflect in your content. And yeah, so that is so awesome. I love that answer. Okay, so I guess let's dive into almost the meat of it, where if you're going to be using LinkedIn, what are some effective ways? Because obviously, no, okay, I shouldn't say obviously. From what I've been told, LinkedIn is the professional business people. You're going to find more products, buying, selling, more of the entrepreneurs on there. So I that's why I say, like, for me, from what I've been told, it's obvious that that's more of the, you're there for a purpose. People post things about their food and their kids and their dogs on Facebook and Instagram and whatever else. But I feel like LinkedIn is serious. kind of.
So kind of, okay. Yes and no. I'm going to debunk that a little bit because I think that scares people away from LinkedIn because it's kind of like it's under the impression that it's stuffy and it's professional only and it's like strict and it's not. I think for a lot of people when you first move back to it, it is because your old connections were that. But there's actually a really beautiful community of spiritual human beings, like there's like almost all of my clients are coaches and healers, and that's my entire audience on LinkedIn. So there's a lot of other spaces there as well. You just have to be really intentional about how you find them. So yeah, I'll debunk that a little bit. There's a lot more freedom and really like business astrologers, and there's a whole queer community, and like there's whole different types of styles of communities there. But it is a little bit more professional in that, yeah, people aren't doing dancing reels, like pointing in the air at the words and like, that's not there. And like pictures of food and, short term stories. Like in Instagram, you could be really unprofessional because you're just sharing quick stories that are going to disappear. That feature isn't available on LinkedIn. So the content is definitely more intentional. But there's more freedom than people realize, and it can be really fun, I promise.
Okay. Yeah, because just the way it was presented to me, and again, I've been like a month or two type thing. It did seem kind of more stuffy, was a very good word. And but I mean, for me, that's partly why I started the account is I am a coach and I do want to grow my business, and I do cater to female business owners and entrepreneurs. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect. There's going to be people on LinkedIn, probably more people on LinkedIn that need my services than on Facebook. I mean, there, like you said, there's people everywhere, but I'm like, I feel like this is a good way to cut the noise, so to speak.
Yeah. And you can be a lot more intentional with not only your time, but who you connect with on LinkedIn. And that's what I really enjoy. Like, the internet is a continuation of our energy, our energetic space. And so I'm really particular about who's in my space. And like the search feature of that alone on LinkedIn for me, like just erases all the other platforms, because I can search people based off of location, career type, like topics that they're posting about. And then I can even control like how recent the posts are, like how much they're, that kind of stuff. So like you're talking about being a coach for female entrepreneurs, like it is incredibly easy to look for female entrepreneurs on LinkedIn. Whereas I find some of the other platforms, I mean, obviously they're there, but it takes you have to be a little more strategic and like hope you find the right hashtag. And then you're looking through the hashtag to see if it's the right people posting, or on Facebook, you're in groups and you're kind of hoping that they'll like follow you or join your group. And you're just kind of like, I'm using this hand motion because that's what I feel like. It's like a constant hurricane over there. But LinkedIn, I go in there and I'm very intentional. This is who I'm looking for. These are the 20 people I'm connecting with every day. Done. And I'm very intentional, and I grow a lot quicker with the right audience of people.
Okay, so this is something that did come to my attention for anyone who's watching who's new, because there is a difference in searching with the free and with the navigating. What is that called? The yeah.
Navigator. Yeah.
So would there, you know what, and I honestly can't remember what it costs, or I haven't really poked around too much with that myself, but I'm just to kind of plainly put it, would you say that's just worth the money, whatever it is, if you're there to grow your business and find your audience?
For entrepreneurs, I don't think Sales Navigator is worth the money. The career version is. A lot of people don't know about that. They assume that it's free or Sales Navigator. There's actually a couple of middle levels you can do that are less than Sales Navigator. I do recommend those ones because they're really kind of chomping down on what's available on the free version. I'll be honest over there. So the career version I pay, I'll be totally honest, I can't remember how much it costs per month because I paid like per year just to have it be like a rolling investment. But it's a lot cheaper than Sales Navigator, and it allows you to connect with 20 people a day, message people, and have the search capabilities. What Sales Navigator does is it gives you a whole search list of people and you can check them off and stuff, but it's not the best. It's kind of like an old school system. If you were looking specifically for specific companies with an exact number of employees and earnings, and you're trying to get a hold of the CEO, things like that, I can see spending it on Sales Navigator. But for most solopreneurs, coaches, it's not worth the money.
Well, that is good to know. That's really good to know. And especially like I don't think I knew that there were other options. Like I said, I haven't poked up in that corner too much yet. But yeah, that's really good to know, because if you're not knowing what to look for, you could just like, I think most platforms recommend the best package right off the bat or whatever anyway, just to try and
of course they do, right? That makes sense. They're a business. Like it makes sense, right? But no.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So I guess especially, whether you're new or old to the platform, but you're maybe wanting to do better, get more out of it, what is the first place? Where would you start?
Your profile. Like I think that like the profile, especially the top half. I mean, the bottom half is very important as well, but that top half, which includes your banner, your photo, and your headline. Like,
Mhm.
just like every other platform, it's just so important because like Instagram and Facebook, when you comment, your headline doesn't show up, right? It's just your photo, but LinkedIn, your headline shows up. So those first 45 characters of your headline, like the first line there, everybody sees those every time you comment.
I'm not sure I've noticed that, to be honest. I'm gonna have to look.
Yeah, go next time you're on there, you'll notice like every time you comment on anything, anytime you post or comment, the beginning of your headline. And I mean, it depends on what device you're on versus how many characters you'll see, but the cell phones, which is the smallest device, it's the first 45 characters that everybody sees. So you have an opportunity with every comment to attract the right person. You know, be
Oh,
strategic. But yeah, so because for me, like lots of people go create content, create content, create content. That's what they're so focused on. But there's no point if they don't see anything that intrigues them on your profile, right? They got to stick around. So for me, that's the very first thing I would say is just take the time to actually do that. Don't leave it on your to-do list. Yeah.
yeah, and I've noticed where it seems on Facebook, everyone is just friend requesting everyone and everyone just accepts and very few people really care. But yeah, I know even for the connections I've made, I'd say well over half the people view my profile before they accept my connection. So
Yeah.
I was pretty shocked about that. I was like, holy, like, yeah.
Yeah, they really, really do. And it's interesting, so I have two sides of my business. I do the strategy and one-to-one strategy, but I also have a couple done for you clients where I do all their social media for them. And it's interesting, every month I do a report for LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We're doing the same content on all of them. And there's this past month that a coach that I work with who works with teens, it was like over 300 new connections on LinkedIn and like 12 or 15 for Facebook and Instagram. Like, it's just crazy because you could be so intentional with what you're doing on LinkedIn, and her profile's done well. So that headline speaks very clearly to her people. So it's, yeah.
Okay, so I guess then, because like you said, you have the banner, your photo, and then your little blurb. So would you say what are the really hardcore like do's and don'ts?
Do not say I help blah 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 and list your niche. Everybody does that. To get
Because
that.
literally, I'm not gonna lie, my business coach, that's what I was taught. I help. And so yeah, he's got, oh my God, he's got, I don't know, 5,000-6,000 people in his group program. Like he's pretty freaking big at this point, and that's literally he teaches everyone. I help. So that is so funny that you say that, and I bet you my profile literally says I help.
And the reason why I say no is because, first of all, so many people do it because that is what was taught. People who are still teaching that, in my opinion, are not growing. They're not expanding and shifting with the times. So there's that, but it also takes up space. Like, we have those 45 characters. So I help female entrepreneurs, like almost all of your 45 characters is done, and it's not interesting and it's not different than anybody else who helps female entrepreneurs, right? If we're being realistic and real, it's not.
Yep.
So instead, like, we want those 45 characters to either immediately speak to their pain points so much that they're like, holy crap, I need this to check this out, or intrigue them, get them curious, or hit some type of emotion. Those are the three things, right? Like, that's more important than I help, da 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 da. And if you look at my headline, I don't really even say who I help. I'm not sure what I say on this profile, but my first characters are, it says home of the fuck it LinkedIn strategy, right? And then it goes right into, so that gets the intrigue. So anybody who's considered LinkedIn at all, I've got some stars there, which is more likely to increase, like, spiritual entrepreneurs or like the stars and hearts, so I've got that. Then you open it and I kind of go into what I do, which is building your profile. And then I have this 12 weeks of strategy to go with that. So so it goes right to the pain point all in one, but I never say I help intuitive
You
spiritual.
cut the vanilla boring out.
Yeah.
No,
right?
Don't get me wrong, people watching, I love vanilla. It is my favorite flavor, so I'm not poo-pooing on that, but most people find it boring.
Yeah. Right. So just like, you got to think of ways to stand out, because I mean, there's hundreds of LinkedIn strategists and coaches. And there's hundreds of coaches that do the same thing that you do. Like that, you have to be real about that. So it's like, what is it that either makes you different or shows that you really understand your person? Like, that's what we got to get got to get out there. And then the second piece of advice I would say, that's the headline. The other biggest mistake, the next one I see, is that people just repeat that headline up in your banner.
Oh,
But that's what's called real estate, right? The space we have on any website, platform, whatever, that's the real estate that you have. So to repeat it is like the biggest waste of space possible, right? So for me, it's like if you've done a good job and you've made that headline really exciting for someone to click, the banner's job is to get them to the next step with you, whatever that is for your business, so they can be different, right? So yeah, if that makes sense.
yeah, it does. Basically, just make sure to utilize all the space and get as much information out there as possible. Yeah. Okay, so now just as I'm thinking this through in my head, so I personally, I have a paid Facebook group where I can help people just weekly who just want something extra to be in. I have a online group program. I have a core program. I do webinars. Like there's a little bit out there. Is there to the point where you would put too much information for people on the banner?
Yeah, for me, like the buying process. So there's the featured section later on where you can put multiple links. So you got to look at your buyer, where they are in like your pipeline, right? People who have just clicked your profile probably aren't at the point where they're ready to buy right away. Those who are ready to buy, who are clicking it for a second, third, fourth, fifth time, they'll take the time to scroll down to the featured section. So for me, it's like, what's the very next step you want your people to take? That's going to be different based off of you and your business. It's not always a free thing. It can be. I had my free intuitive LinkedIn guide there for a long, long time. I've switched lately because I really want to focus on my profile offers. So now you can get your profile audited with me on that very first link. That's the first step that I focus on. And it is paid. It's like $99. So it's what are you looking for right now? If I was looking to build my newsletter list right now, which I may again in the future, I'm going to put my freebie there.
Okay.
Right? Where are you at in your business, and what have you done on the back end as well, right? Because if you have a freebie that goes nowhere, you're not even doing a newsletter list, whatever, like what's the point, right? So then at that point, put booking a call or something that will actually get them, somewhere with you. But my freebie does have like the proper sequence and things like that. So it would make sense. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome. And just for those of us that are new, what are stars and hearts? I do not think I know what this is yet.
Oh, the emojis.
Oh,
Emojis. Yeah. So like the spiritual stars, right? So that's how I speak to my people, and I just naturally attract them. Yeah.
now, as far as like content goes, actually, no, maybe we'll just stick with the profile for one more minute. So I know for myself, when I was scrolling down trying to set it up, and I was watching a video, so I was definitely getting a tutorial on it. But it's a lot. Like is it a lot? So from your experience, is it worth actually going through and like covering all those sections or adding, like really filling it out as best you can? Or are there some places like you want more attention than others? Obviously that top piece is number one important, but for the rest.
Absolutely, it's important.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the reason why is because the people that are considering buying, that's what tips them over into the next thing, right? When they can see all the ways to access you. So your featured section, your about me section, the about me section is moving to the top of the profile. FYI, that's rolling out to everybody. So if you've ignored it, this is a good time to fix it. And then the experience section is interesting because people really avoid that. They just throw in like a resume, like just your past jobs. I use storytelling there and really walk through how those past experiences have brought me success today. And I do that for my clients. Like, I do full profile overhaul. So I do your entire profile for you. And that's what I do. I figure out like, what did you do in that past history that makes you awesome now? It's not just a list of responsibilities. So, it is worth it. Like it's for those people who are just ready to take the next step. That's what helps tip them over.
Okay, that is very interesting. And I'll definitely have to take a look at my experience section. I'm like, I don't remember what I put in there.
Yeah. I think the only section I would say I like to skip, because I don't really think it's worth it, like you can add skills that people can endorse you for.
Okay.
But nobody's reading those. Nobody cares. Like, and people were going around endorsing everybody for free. Like, just be like, oh, hey, like I just added you. Let's endorse you for like 10 things to try and get on your good books, right? Like it's just silly. It's not really valuable. So if you're gonna have any skills there, add like 2 or 3 top things that you do just so that it's searchable, but I wouldn't worry about that section at all. Yeah.
Okay. And then for posting, like I know myself, I just kind of went in there blind, and usually I will just copy paste and definitely not use tons of emojis like they recommend on Facebook. But just my content from Facebook, I kind of copy paste, use the same of it. But I have always wondered, since LinkedIn is more, a little more like the serious platform, and you know, people are actually reading it properly. How would you say posting the content will be different for people who are like, I grew up on Facebook, that's kind of the first thing that was out there. So is there do's and don'ts for content posting?
Of course they are. Like when you compare to other platforms, the first line is still always important. It's really important. They see
Mhm.
that before they click the photo. There's a lot less paragraph use I find on LinkedIn than there is Facebook. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to think what else in comparison. Obviously, you can add links like you can on Instagram, but um, yeah, it can be similar. I just really focus on that first line, and I will say that the images, like good graphics that people are doing, where it's branded and all that stuff, those aren't nearly as popular on LinkedIn, which is like awesome. It's heaven because it takes away less time. So what's better over here, like that does better, is pictures of yourself or of the work that you're doing, or quotes will do okay, but not very many people are doing that whole branded, your colors in the background, your logo, and all that kind of, oh, at blah blah, like your profile.
Yeah.
That's not really popular over there. So
And then I'm kind of gonna guess then, if you make up all these meme type postcard things on Canva and stuff, not quite as wanted on LinkedIn.
you don't need them. And I've
Just
noticed that, yeah, any clients of mine that like those, they just don't do as well. Like the stats are there, they just never do. Which, yeah, is a plus.
it does make sense though, because I think, and again, just comparing Facebook to LinkedIn, I'm like, Facebook, people want eye catching. It's like, I don't want to be rude, and I don't want to come off rude, but it's like everyone's bored on Facebook and they just want something entertaining, something fun, something to look at, something to catch them. Whereas I feel LinkedIn is more, again, like you said, it's like purposeful. People are actually looking for things. They're not just scrolling for days, waiting for something fun to catch their eye. Kind of,
Yeah.
would I be correct?
To a degree, I mean, some people are still scrolling. It's a social media platform, of course.
Sure.
But yeah, I spoke on stage once about LinkedIn, and I said that, Facebook and Instagram, people are looking to be entertained. LinkedIn, they're looking to be
Yeah.
educated, to learn, and to grow. So, I mean, you can still be successful on Facebook and Instagram. I would never say you can't, right? But you
Mhm.
have to shift it a different way because they want to be entertained first. That's why influencers do so well over there, because they're so entertaining first, right? And then they bring in the other stuff that they're selling or promoting, right? Whereas LinkedIn, you don't necessarily have to be entertaining quite as much. Yeah.
Yeah. I get the vibe of just put your authority out there, prove to people you know what you're talking about, and you're worth the time and money you want them to spend.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. 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 And then I would say the missing piece there, because you're right, have the authority, share your thoughts. But something that is really valuable, this is true on all platforms, but LinkedIn especially, is have your opinion and stick by it. Like, don't be afraid to say it. Like, that's a big thing. So it's whether it's in your industry or even outside, like things that you value, right? So I have a couple of things that I value that I will speak up about. I don't speak up about every world problem out there. That's just not healthy for any of us. But I do have a few things that I stand strong by and speak my opinion about within my industry and just within human values in general. And those two things make a huge, huge difference on LinkedIn. Um, People want to know where you stand and what's, they don't want the blanket education anymore. We have AI, we have Google, we can Google all the things that we can educate about, right? They want the human side and to connect in that way. So I highly encourage, and I do a lot of this in my strategy sessions, is the mindset behind that, the fear behind that, and what do I stand for, that kind of stuff. It really, really matters, and it can set you apart. Another coach who does the same thing as you, your willingness to be open and your thoughts on things can massively shift whether someone would choose you versus somebody else. So that's a top key factor. And then the second thing I would say is, with the amount of AI that we have, AI is helpful. I'm actually learning AI as well, so I can really teach my clients how to do proper prompts and things like that. But AI cannot story tell the way a human being can, and it can't give the same stories or perspectives as you. So that's also how you're going to stand out in the coaching industry, especially. And this might sound really harsh, but when all we're doing is educating, like, you just sound like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
You really, and I'm not saying don't educate. I do. I have one post a week dedicated towards giving some education, but it's the stories, like even just simple stories, like I wrote a story one time of my little toddler. I have a 4-year-old. She was 2.5 at the time, but she sat down to explore and her little bum was just a perfect circle of mud. Right. And so I took a picture of her from behind and just how present she was and, how we worked through it. And I leaned it back into social media, that we have to be present in the moment when we're engaging and when we're, that kind of thing. That was one of my most viral posts. And so many people messaged me and connected and still talk about it. And I didn't have to be vulnerable. I didn't have to share my deepest, darkest secrets, but it was still like, AI can't do that for me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
cannot
That whole,
do that story. Yeah.
yeah. And the words that come to mind are just like literally authentically you. Here's a little piece of my life that, 95% of all women can relate to, and just like clicks that little like, oh yeah, she's not just this crazy business person. Look, she's a mom. This is a all right. And
And
yeah,
I think
because
it's good at connecting it without always selling, but just connecting it in some, like, how does this parallel or relate to what I'm doing? That's selling. Like, that's when you get the natural sales, the organic stuff. And so, I mean, that tip will work on any of the platforms, but yeah, those two things, the having opinions, standing by your values, and storytelling will really make sure that you stand above everybody else right now with all the AI and educational stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and it's funny because even just recently I was told I'm trying to work on my messaging and stuff, and yeah, it's that be authentically you, like whatever that is. The like I was raised lots of influence by my very blunt, honest Oma, and very like I remember I was 12 years old one time, and don't get me wrong, it probably led to some of my body image issues in my teenage years. But like she literally told me I was getting fat and I couldn't have any more dessert until I stopped gaining weight. And I was like, and I mean, maybe 12 was a harsh age to hear that out. But I look back and I'm like, but she said it out of love. At the time, obviously we don't know, but I'm like, I really respect and resonate. Like that was just her. And she was, what do they say? Unapologetically herself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And no, I don't recommend telling anyone that they're fat. That was maybe,
Yeah.
not the best. But yeah, just that like being true to yourself. And especially, I know this is the going thing that I've heard from many coaches and many people. It's yeah, literally AI is everywhere. Be a human being. And I feel like, correct me if this is wrong for LinkedIn, but I feel like even like making mistakes, having a typo, or like, here's how I fudged up last week. Let's all learn from my lesson. Like, purposefully almost showing your imperfections, I feel like would really actually resonate with people nowadays.
It does. I had a funny story with that. I have ADHD. So I write in a little bit of a different way. I don't start at the top and like get down to the bottom. I write and then I'll write something else and I'll kind of go back and forth. Just how my brain works.
Okay.
Which at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because it comes out proper and normal and But this one time I accidentally missed erasing like one of the extra like few sentences that I'd added. So it was like underneath of my post and it wasn't connected. And people were commenting like, "Oh, like Jade," and I just laughed. I was like, "Yeah, I got ADHD, like clearly." And I left it that way, and it was a good laugh, and people thought it was awesome. And I will say that more than one person messaged me after that, saying that kind of gave them permission to not have to be, perfect, things like that. So I was like, I am a human being, right? So it's scary though. It's scary to me. And it was embarrassing at first. Even now my face is going red. Like it was not like a planned thing. But yeah, people do really enjoy the human side. And if you look at your own buying decisions, yes, it usually is a sales post or sales email that eventually gets you to buy. Like that's the one, because you're like, okay, here's the program, here's the offer, right? And you click it. But start to notice yourself, like the coaches that you actually like, that you follow, that you've invested in, are they all educational material and straight, like no humanness or not? And I can almost guarantee you'll be like, oh, wait a second, this one's very human, you know? And I invested in an ADHD coach, and he was like, oh, what made you hire me? And I was like, honestly, you posted about how hard it is to load the dishwasher, how you can be a 6-figure business owner and then really struggle to do this basic thing. Was it his offer that I bought? Yes. Was it his education? Absolutely. It was all of that, but it's not any of those posts that were like, yep, he's the one. It was the ones where I was like, he gets it. He gets what it's like to appear to be so put together and an expert, and then really struggle with basic human things. That's what I was struggling with. And I was like, he gets this. And so that was what, those kinds of things tipped me over. And I can almost guarantee it's happening for you too, whether you're conscious of it or not. Those things are what tips you over. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny, as we're talking, I'm like, I really need to invest more time in LinkedIn. I feel like this is, and again, I'm born and raised on the Facebook and never much of a social media person anyway, because that, doom scrolling is just like, I'm like, why? But yeah, so for business, when I got into it, definitely I first landed on Facebook. Of course, it's what I knew. But yeah, that whole, I don't know how to use the proper polite term of just the nonsense on there, to scroll and get past all the nonsense to try and reach your audience, to try and share. I feel like none of that's on LinkedIn. And I'm like, because I feel like I need to be there more, and really, not that I don't pay attention to it, but maybe just pay that extra attention to it.
Well, and also pay attention to all of these platforms are out to get money. Like they're making money. That's why they're here. So how do they make their money? Facebook makes their money from the influencers, from the and the products that are selling. So they are absolutely going to promote that stuff more, no matter what they say about the algorithm. That's what makes them money. The coaches don't. They just don't. Right? On LinkedIn, what makes them money is the professionals that are investing in the career part of it, that are investing in Sales Navigator, that are searching. That's what they're putting their money into and what they're trying to grow. So they have flat out said, we want educational material to move forward. We want things that are shifting the planet to move forward. Why? Because it's the professionals that are giving them their money, right? Where, not that I'm saying no professional ever makes Facebook money, of course not. But the products go there. The influencers, like now you can, pay for whatever, that you can buy gifts for the influencers. Well, Facebook gets some of that gift money every time. So of course that stuff's going to go for that. Just makes sense from a business perspective of Facebook. I have no grudges against Facebook for that. It makes sense. Instagram as well, TikTok too. Yeah. But LinkedIn, it's the professional and educational stuff that's moving forward. And they're actually releasing, slowly rolling it out, a new video platform on LinkedIn. It'll be similar to the Reel style, but they flat out said they do not want like the dancing stuff and like the silly to grow. That's not what they're trying to grow. So, that is, they make their money different ways.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I do actually like hearing that, because every once in a while you do like to make a quick 2 to 3 minute video. And I've only put a couple on LinkedIn, but you never know how far it goes, because I never seem to get too many impressions or whatever they call it on those. It seems to be the written that does the best. But sometimes it's just like, I don't know how to write this all down. It's going to be wordy. I just need to make a video.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, video is still over there. You just don't need 2 and 3 reels a day to do well there. Video is absolutely, and sometimes I will get less engagement on videos. That is a common trend, but I get more like conversions or like people engaging or reaching out from video. So it's like it's a balance. Yeah.
Oh. So I guess, what would you say? So let's say someone's watching this interview and they feel like they're pretty up to snuff. What would you say is something that maybe they should just double check or look into, something they might not have thought of when they've done their profile, they're putting out anything to do with kind of that?
That's a good question. You might
I
have
guess the
stumped.
most common mistake or commonly overlooked or common assumption that's not correct, if there is one.
I would say right now, like if they think they have to snap, just double check the profile, like how much do you emotionally connect? And that doesn't sound like a very great tip, but I promise you it is. Like old school when people built their profiles, it was very much so still based on like SEO and resumes. That's what people were focused on. But it's shifted. We have to connect emotionally in some way. So like I actually send my clients 14 questions when we're doing the profile overhaul to get really clear. And those questions are like some of them, right? It's like, what are the top desires of your people? Like, what are the top pain points? Like, what do they think the problem is? Not what do you think it is? What do they think it is? Like just touching base on all of those things and worrying less about searchability. And I mean, that stuff's still good. I still have SEO words when I do people's profile and things, but that's what I would say. If you think you're off to snuff, like just be honest with yourself. Do you really stand out differently than the other people that are doing the exact same thing as you? Could I clearly say this is what Sonia does differently than Jade?
Yeah, I'm gonna say off the top of my head, it might be clear what I do, but I'm gonna, without looking right now, I'm gonna almost guarantee I am not pulling anyone in. I am not different.
Right. And it's a harsh reality for ourselves, but just be real. Like, take the emotions out of it. Like, and that's what I would say. You're right. That mistake is what people are doing. It's very clear what they do, and most people can do that, and they've done it well. But yeah.
And I do love that you say that, because that is something, even in my coaching world, so often I said in the last 2 weeks, I've said this a lot. It doesn't matter how you got there. It doesn't matter why, like in this instance, it doesn't matter why you put it there. A fact is a fact. Where are we starting today? What do you want for tomorrow? Let's move forward. So yeah, that whole like tough look and okay, let's say your profile does suck. So let's fix it. Like just to be that right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna have to check mine over for sure, because I bet you it's not quite the best. Any other tidbits or advice?
I would say if this interview is excited you, don't jump over unless that's the platform you want to pick. Like just pick one. Like just that would be if anyone could walk away from this, just pick one platform. You can do well anywhere. So don't feel like you have to add LinkedIn now because I've told you it's so great. Like I don't want to add to anyone's plate, right? So if you're really fed up with Facebook, Instagram, you don't want to be doing multiple reels a day, then yes, absolutely. But then put yourself all in. Like go in and this is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going to focus. This is where I'm going to grow, and I'm going to do it well. And whether you hire me or someone else to help, like, or even not, whatever you want to do, but just pick one and just really, really rock it. That's my last main piece of advice. And if LinkedIn's it, I'm here because I'd love to help, because I do think LinkedIn is fabulous. But if you're happy on the other ones, don't stress. Stay on there.
Right, like it has to be something that resonates with you, and I mean, yeah, if you enjoy, posting on Facebook and then scrolling for an hour, then maybe just stay on Facebook and enjoy what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
Linda's comment. So I was told that less than 10% of the LinkedIn members are creating content, and that's why it's easy to be seen there. Absolutely. Yeah. Tons and tons of them are not creating content still because it's not seen as a content platform. People assume Facebook and Instagram are, but they don't on LinkedIn. And lots of people that do create content are still doing like 1 post a week or 2 posts a week. So if you do 3, 4, like you already stand out significantly. Yeah, that's a true fact.
Wow. I had no idea, because I try and post on Facebook every day. And like I said, I post what I'm posting. I more or less copy paste to LinkedIn. So I post almost every day. I just assumed everyone else was doing the same.
So I'm sure some people are, like definitely are doing the whole copy paste thing, but most people are not creating a ton of content there. There's a lot of, which I'll be positive on a positive side. It's great as a content creator, but it can also mean that sometimes they're quiet, so they're not always engaging either. So you have to do your due diligence, connect with them and things like that. But no, it's a huge plus. Yeah.
So then I would also have to think that if people are a lot quieter, to keep in mind that put your posts out there, get your messaging. But even if nobody engages, that doesn't mean no one's reading, and that doesn't mean no one's thinking.
Correct.
Isn't that interesting? So that is just kind of a put it on faith, put it out there and know the right people are reading it.
Yeah, and then to add to that, I would say like the old school adage, or kind of information, is to give before you receive. And so I really follow that when it comes to platforms. So creating content is great. I absolutely want it to happen. I train teaching people how to do it. But I think sometimes it's all about when all we do is create content, we're not focusing on the community side of things. It's kind of like, and this is not going to sound very nice, but it is. We're like, me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look what I have, look what I have. When you take the time to put into the community on LinkedIn, it'll give you back tenfold. Like, I spend time on my community there, and I have been on podcast episodes. I've been on speaking events. I've had people reach out I've collaborated with people. I've created full collaborations. I'm actually going to be doing a new coaching program in the fall with our collaboration. Like, there's so many things, and people have sent me referrals. Like, they haven't even worked with me. They're like, you have to see Jade. You have to see Jade. People, that kind of thing. The community piece is just awesome. So yes, content is important, but that just remember that where are you when you create content? What are you doing? You're asking to receive. You want to be engaged with. You want people to like, to comment, to buy, to DM you. It's like, are you giving as well and doing those things for other people?
Yeah, which is super, super interesting, because literally just today, because obviously I was a little busy and apparently did not think things would take so long. And I check my LinkedIn and I'm like, notifications, and I'm like, no, just my post. I don't have time for you.
Yeah, just kind of like, and it's a balance because we have time, but I would definitely say focus on that community piece. And Elena's just commenting here that, no one's engaging with your content, but they'll DM you. Yes. So if that's happening to you, Elena, then I would say my biggest focus for you, if I was your strategist, is to be connecting with consistent amount of people every day, and then work on your DM game. Like, work on your DM game. Like, I have full strategies for DMs, right? But really work, if that's where they're showing up naturally, then start to take the lead there and talk to them as well. But yeah, content's important. Of course it is, but it's not everything. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a really good point. They don't engage with your content, but they do DM you. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, I would have not really guessed that, but that's been very enlightening for me. And I always tell people, and I try, you never assume, and here I am assuming. Oh my. Did you have any questions at all you wanted to ask? You want to pop in? No, you're really good.
Don't put me on the spotlight. Don't do it.
I just want to express my gratitude. It was great, Jade. So I was taking notes like crazy.
Good.
I'm present every day on LinkedIn. I post daily. And what happens to me is that, okay, I'm, as an intimacy and identity coach, especially with the queer community. Mm-hmm. So that's my reality. I receive DMs of people telling me I cannot follow you because my environment is not aware of my situation. Mm-hmm. I will never ask you to connect with me, but I'm following your content. I love your content. Please keep posting. This is really helpful for me. Mm-hmm. So I respect that. And I use that in the next post, telling, okay, I know you are there. I know you are not engaging with me. Feel free to DM me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And just be aware that I will never ask you to connect with me if you are not doing this first. Yeah. So I value confidentiality. I value privacy. I totally get you. So feel free to DM me. That's the strategy that works with me. And maybe Facebook will be easier, or Instagram, but as you said at the beginning, Jade, I feel comfortable on LinkedIn. It's my platform. So
yeah, go with what's working. There is a pretty open queer community though. That is pretty, so find them and comment, right? So yeah, so if people are a little scared, have that on there so that they can DM you. But I will let you know, like, over time, LinkedIn's trying to scrunch down so people with the free version won't be able to just DM. So that's going to make things a bit tougher. So spend the time like engaging with other queer people, like open, like commenting, so people can kind of get a sense of that. Yeah, and people can set their settings so that you can't see who they're following and things like that as well. So that might be worth you having a little thing in your banner or something that says, hey, like you can change your settings. But yeah, commenting and being involved in the queer community, just becoming known, like being really like spending that time on community, and then doing the DMs yourself, like reaching out. And that's what I would recommend, is just go with what's working. Create the content, but I mean, if they're scared to engage and all that kind of stuff, then a couple posts a week, and then focusing on you directly chatting with people and giving them resources that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely find me on there. I'm always loving to build like the queer space. I love the queer space over there, and I'm queer myself. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's also like, sorry, my cat is having a sneezing fit over here. I hope you can't hear that. Perfect. I do think I was just thinking even the relevancy of so many different niches, like, for myself, there's going to be maybe higher profile female entrepreneurs who think maybe it's weak to admit that they have overwhelm, that they need help. They don't want to admit this to themselves. They don't want to admit it to maybe the public. So similarly, even where there's, for male coaches, like let's say you're a coach for men, whether it be like getting your masculinity back, dealing with any mental health or anything, like how many men out there want to admit that they have a mental health issue? It's still fairly, not really talked about in most communities nowadays. And even, I had a great interview with a travel blogger from India, and she said, there's still a lot of stereotypes in India with females, and even like clothing. Like there's a lot of ideas and judgments and stereotypes, and you think, well, wow, we're such a global community that even though we don't think it's a big deal, that might be a huge deal for other people. So yeah, I think that's super, super appropriate. And I love that. Okay, what was it? You said you can switch your profile so people cannot see who you're following. Was that correct? Yeah.
And another option too is that not everybody knows. So if you're doing any polls, like Elena, or anybody who wants private, we're already connected. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I'll have to go check out your stuff. But like polls, the only person who can see who's voted is the creator who posted the poll. So sometimes you don't know. So if you have a sensitive subject, such as what Elena has, then you can just kind of remind people like, hey, like if you want to vote in this poll, just so you know, like nobody else can see how you voted except for me as the creator.
Yeah. Well,
so that's helpful too.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And I just think how many of us spend time finding out information like that, right? We kind of create a profile, we get it. Well, okay, maybe it's just me. I just created a profile, filled it out, and got out there. I don't know any of these rules. So yeah, I think that's actually really important for like putting it on profiles, putting it in that, putting it somewhere where our potential clients can see what a safe place we are making for them. Oh, I would have never guessed that. Isn't that interesting, hey?
Mm-hmm. Different perspective. You notice stuff more like that when you are queer, like just because of who we are. We have to notice it more. But yeah, there's awesome ways to grow and build community on LinkedIn. So just enjoy that piece of it too, not just the content. And just from an energetic perspective, it makes complete sense that pumping out all is not the only answer.
Yeah, I guess then like, okay, so someone, for example, for me, I'm stress and anxiety coach, and I cater, female entrepreneurs type thing. Would it still be, and again, because I have this image of LinkedIn being a little more serious, a little more businessy, but could I still go into these different communities where technically, they're not my ideal client, but it's an interest of mine? Like, is that, because I know Facebook, you can kind of join any group anywhere for the most part. It's pretty open and willy-nilly. Is LinkedIn similar where they will accept even if it's not your ideal, if it's just an interest like a hobby or something, or you just want to learn more? Like, let's say I would like to learn more about the queer community and I'm open and I just want to see what's out there and see how people, like, just to get my toe in the water and be supportive. Is that something I could do? Or is it kind of more of a business oriented, let's focus on clients? Or like, I don't know if there's any real, I don't want to say rules because that's not right, but like, would I be frowned upon or?
No, it's good to be a community. You want to enjoy your space there, right? So like, I'm interested in some health stuff, and there's just some, there's lots, things that I'm interested in that have nothing to do with what I do.
Okay.
What I would say to that though is just be intentional with your time. So it's not really about strategy or other people are going to think. I mean, obviously be aware if you're commenting on a lot of queer people's posts, people will see that. I mean, you can go on a profile and see what kind of posts people are engaged, on LinkedIn, you can actually see what engagements people have done. So if you're scared to be involved, or that would be like something that'd be hard for you to be aware that people can see everybody that you've commented on. But no, for me, it's just like I have my intentional strategic business time on LinkedIn. And then I have where I'm just scrolling and doing my own thing. And when I'm doing my own thing, I can comment whatever I want to and I can enjoy whatever. And I'm fine with that. I'm open. I'm good. But as business owners, you can spend 5 hours on a platform and walk away not really knowing if you did anything successful.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, okay, here's my 30 minutes that I have dedicated a day for LinkedIn or whatever it is that you're doing, right? During that time, I'm strategic. I'm sending my 20 connections every day to my ideal people or collaborators. I'm DMing out my ideal people and collaborators. I'm commenting on their stuff. I'm putting out content for them in my business time.
Mm-hmm.
Any other time that I'm on LinkedIn, sure, yeah, I'd love to explain. It brings me so much joy that when I go into my feed, there's topics that I'm interested in, right? Like,
Yeah.
I love neurodivergency because I'm neurodivergent. So I do I work with people who have ADHD? Yeah, but they're not my ideal person, right? Like, they're not, I mean, I take that back. I love my, I mean, I'm not specifically working just with ADHD people, what I meant to say, right? And so, yeah, I'll look up all neurodivergency stuff, like all sorts of things. But when I have my strategic business time, not so much.
Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking, like, because on Facebook, like, I'm part of a sourdough group and a woodworking group and like all these different things because I love learning and I like knowing new things. And because truly there is kind of it is I don't know, I don't want to say embarrassing or whatever, but just to like be this person in my tiny bubble not knowing anything, that's not ideal for me. I like to know more and explore more and get out there and just not see all these people, like even in the news things I watch where they're showing TikTok videos and I'm like, that's what's happening out in life. What?
Like, yeah. And set your own boundaries and your own just kind of what are your intentions or your goals. I'm very energetic based, so I do set an intention before I go on each time. Like, what am I doing here? But I have a personal Facebook. I do some business. I met you through Facebook, but I don't do a ton there. And that's where I choose to do the things like you're talking about. Like, I have multiple aquariums I've collected that I build, and I'm breeding my fish. And so I'm in multiple aquarium groups, and I find so much joy there, but it's separate for me. So I don't want to go onto LinkedIn now and find aquascapers and people with aquariums, because that's just a boundary for me. It's like when I go on Facebook, I know that my hair is down. I'm just chilling. I'm watching my reels. I do like the influencers. They're funny. Like, and I don't have any guilt that, oh, I should be doing my business. Like, no, I'm on Facebook. That's not my business time. I can do whatever I want there. And if I scroll a little too late at night, that's my own business, right? But when I go into LinkedIn, I'm very intentional. And then I do have some fun subjects, of course, but I like to have two. Just easier for my brain, I guess, to be like, oh, this is my fun time.
I think that's very, very good advice, because even sometimes, like when I'm intentionally doing business work and I see all these like woodworking things and I want to comment and I want to click on them, I'm like, no, I'm busy, I can't, and trying to just like bypass it all and like, oh, maybe I'll go find it later. And I think that's actually a really, really good idea. I think that is great advice for people, especially if you are on dual platforms or like me, wanted to get into the LinkedIn space to get that more. I am very type A, go get 'em, like I put my business hat on and it's like I'm just all serious. And I feel like LinkedIn can definitely be that place for me where it is very, yeah, you just log on knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Very, well, like you said, intentional. That's the perfect word, intentional. I love that. All right. I am going to, anyone, do you have any more questions? Anything else you want to say? We're pretty much wrapped up. Okay. I'm definitely going to post your link because I will put this on YouTube also. And I will post your link in the description. Maria Elena, did you want your link put in there also at all? Did you want to get some for anyone who might want to check you out or look you up? All right, awesome. Well, I will say this has been super fun. There's definitely a few things I would not have guessed. I'm definitely going to relook over my profile for sure. And I'm going to check out not the navigator thing, but the, thank you. Let me just copy. That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Check out the lesser mediocre, not the sales navigator thinger, which I obviously have no idea what it's called.
Sales navigator, yeah. There's career in business. Yeah. Check them out.
Yes, I think that is super awesome. And then hopefully, yeah, I hope when people are watching this, they get good information. And I might have to hire you one day because I feel like, I'm not tech illiterate, but the whole social media platform, all of them and myself, we have a love-hate relationship. So it's
Yes, I would love to work with you in the future. And yeah, you can start with an audit so you can figure out what's going on with your profile. And that's like the lowest, investment. And then of course it goes up to a full overhaul with 12 weeks of strategies. My main jam.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. This has been really informative and, like I said, really fun. I think I like talking, but that's okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Maria, for being so engaged as well. And yeah, thank you, ladies.
And then I guess I will just, with a note, say if anything happens, like big changes come, and you think people would like to hear or get the news out there, if you ever want to do this again, and I haven't contacted you first, feel free to contact me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. And yeah, thank you again.
Yeah, see you.